Hey everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to another Wednesday hobby live stream. I am John Furhelm with In Your Phase Media, and this week we are starting a new series. Hopefully you've enjoyed the last two builds that we've done together. Of course, we started off with the Primaris Outriders, which we put some lights in the guns as well as the controls and put a fusion engine in there. And then, of course, last week we just finished up building up our Skorpech King. Let's see here. There we go. See the little power claw going on him. And I'll remember to turn him off this time. What I did last week was I actually left the lights on after the build, and of course the next day most of the batteries were dead. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So, anyways, so this week we are starting in on the Silent King. All right, that should be some good stuff. So I haven't really studied this kit very much. I have no plans. Haven't figured out what I'm gonna light. Gonna figure it out while we're starting to work on the sprue tonight. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get our timer set for 1 hour. There we go. 1 hour timer ready to go. And boom, hobby time. Okay, let's switch over to that desk scene. Let's see what's going on with this Silent King kit. Let's see here. I already did a sprue review of this kit, so over on our YouTube site, we can go ahead and take a look at that if you want me to zoom in and check out the sprue and all that. So let's see. This is a 3 sprue kit. Toss the box off to the side. Toss the outside. Let's see. So looks like, kind of looking here at the back of this. So to me, it looks like, in fact, let's go ahead and switch to the face cam for just a minute so I can hold this stuff up a little better. So, okay, so we've got going on right here, we've got the back, and pretty much we're going to have these two side pieces, which are called, I don't know, menhirs or something like that. I forget what they're actually called. No, I think the menhir is the other terrain piece. Let's see, these things are called, yeah, menhir, triarchal menhir. So, okay, so anyway, so we got the two menhirs, and then we got the central piece. And when I look at the kit, I see that we have two identical sprues and then one unique sprue. So I'm thinking that there's going to be some repetitive elements off of each of these duplicate sprues. In fact, immediately I can see like this piece here, this piece over here. Those are all going to belong to the actual Silent King, whereas these pieces are all of the menhir. And the menhir, I think I'm just going to do a simple. Now let's come over now. We can start looking at the sprues. Switch to our desk cam. Interesting. Okay, so what we got going on here is we're going to see a little bit of a hollow model right here. This is pretty open for us. All right, that looks pretty good. 1 second here. Let me switch to my face cam. And excuse me while we mess with something real quick. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's the problem. Okay, so that'll be a little bit better. Let's look. Oh, I think we have a problem with the face camera as well. So now we'll switch to the desk scene for that face camera. And there we go. Okay, so unfortunately there, sorry for the little technical difficulty, technical delay as it were, but we had the buffering going on, and so that was messing things up a little bit. Okay, so here we are. So anyways, what I see here is this menhir is going to be pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And if you look, there's already a gap right here. Like, can you see my fingers through there? If I just zoom in, you can see, like the light. So literally just sticking a light inside of this thing and turning it on, it's going to start glowing through that crack right there. I think what might be neat is if we further hollow out like the backside of all of these cracks. So maybe we take the Dremel tool and we grind off everywhere where we see that. And then when we light it up, what we're going to have is a glow effect basically coming through all of the cracks and then coming around this. And I bet we can find something interesting to replace that. Like, that's a pretty good size bead. So sometime during the build here, maybe by next week, I'll order like a quartz, maybe a rose quartz or a smoky quartz sphere of appropriate diameter, and we'll just replace that. So we'll put some lights on the inside of the menhir, and we'll replace this centerpiece with a quartz. We will then hollow out the backside and grind off all of those to make some glowy effects. Now, unlike the last build I did where I had like a whole episode of me just using the Dremel tool, this time I'm going to do most of the Dremel work offline. When I went back and watched the videos, it was a little tedious watching me use the Dremel tool. As much as it's so enjoyable to sit there and do that, I think that'll be the better choice. And maybe I'll play a little video back of me doing the Dremel work, but I'll speed it up and it won't have a mic on it, so you don't. And I'll just narrate what's going on with that. So that's probably what we'll do to hollow those out. But other than that, there's not a lot to the menhirs themselves. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the directions. And yeah, all this is the Silent King himself. And then the menhir. So here's what we're starting talking. So the menhir is literally, as I was saying, it's 2-3 pieces put together. There's a little side block that goes on there, a trim piece, and then there's some lightning running down. We'll probably lose the lightning. I don't know. We'll see what we do. We either have a light coming up into the lightning over here, but I already see that. I think the better choice is to like remove the lightning and maybe just create maybe just some rock, like a little rock tower, a pile of rocks I can run the wire through. And I guess we could just have the wires kind of going up through the lightning, but that's a little crass. We could try putting the wire up through the lightning, but putting some green stuff on the outside of the wire. And that lightning doesn't look too hard to sculpt, so maybe we could do that. So I see a couple options there as far as that goes. So let's clip those out and get those out of the way real quick. So here we are. Handy screws. Once again, going over the tools real quick. We have our multiple cutters. Organized them a little better. Got our 3 sets of cutters, right? I got my heavy old cutters that can open pretty wide, basically just crude choppers right there. I've got my very fine tipped cutters that have a really nice tip that I can get in and do stuff with. These are still pretty good shape. And then I got my GW cutters, which got a little glue on them from the last build. So let's clean that glue off the back there real quick. Hit it with the file. Yeah, look at that glue right there. That glue will definitely not help us get clean cuts off the sprue, so we'll make sure we get all that out of there. Okay, a little stroke of the file across the back. Clean it up. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and clip those menhirs out of there. So we've got Boom. Boom. For this portion, I could probably raise the camera up a little bit. Let's see how that works. I know. I'm crazy now. Oh, hey, don't be looking at my junk. Okay, so there's a little bit higher camera perspective for us. I think that'll be a little more conducive to initial sprue clipping. So let's get that clipped out of there. The bits already got. And again, just going to work my way around, making sure I got my blades very tight against the model so that when I clip it, there's minimal cleanup later. For those of you that are super lazy and don't like to clean up your sprue eyes and mold lines, then I recommend getting real good at clipping. So when you skip doing the later steps, it still looks pretty good. Right? Good pair of clippers. Right? If you're super good at deburring, probably could get away with any crappy clippers, but if you want to be lazy and skip cleanup later, then you definitely want to get good clippers. Now, these GW clippers, as I've mentioned before, they seem pretty decent. I'm pretty happy with them. Bought them up at Fundemonium Games when I was at a Willow Wars tournament. Fun little events when we used to have events. And with my prize winnings, I bought these clippers, kind of a splurge because the GW clippers are a little expensive. I was a little disappointed. They weren't as, like, they're really nicely made, but the tips weren't ground quite as nicely as I would have hoped or expected for a premium item like this. Let's get this clipped off there. And there we go. Is that it? Yeah, only the 5 pieces of the men here. So right, that'll go together pretty easily. This is not a press to fit model, so this is everything gonna have to be glued and cemented. That's not the piece that goes there. There's a different. There it is. That's the piece. Those of you watching at home probably immediately caught my mistake. And a big shout out to my chat monkey, who has been keeping an eye on chat for me. Thank you very much, chat monkey. All of your efforts are appreciated. Using a new Necron technology before I start streaming, I actually download a portion of my consciousness into a small mechanical monkey that I have in the other room. So you can interact with the chat monkey just like you were talking to me, but it's a small part of me. The rest of me is over here doing this hobby. So, okay, so that's pretty much it for the men here, right? I haven't glued it or anything because, of course, we're still going to light it and do all the stuff to it. But yeah, pretty much seems pretty straightforward. So I think we're in good shape. Let's up the light a little. There. I have a cool light bar, which picked up a while ago. Actually, I was at a CK Studios hobby class, and Kat had these for sale. Great little battery charge. But the nice thing about the hobby light is it normally leave it plugged in. It's on. Here, I'll just show it to my other thing here. So, off the light for a sec. So there's the light. So nice thing about it is these legs they fold, so it packs up. It has a little carrying sleeve. They pop right out. It's battery operated, so I can unplug it, and it has multiple light levels. So this is proven to be a super winner as far as that goes. Great little hobby light. And actually, since I raised the camera, I'll bring this in here, and we will raise that camera a little bit more. What the heck? Hey, you looking over there? See you. I see you. Okay, so that's great. So that's a lot of working area. So we'll keep everything where we can see it. A little bit bigger sprues than we've been working on before, and of course, see, oh, that mess laying around, right? Ends, other junk. And I try to keep this, it makes it look like there's this neat area, but really there's a neat area right under the camera, and there's a neat area right here. But don't look outside of what the cameras see. I'm surrounded by a ton of hobby. That's why on the on the podcast, right, it's always like a joke. There's somebody will mention something, I'm like, there it is. I swear everything is within handy reach of me. Okay, so we've got the first men here trimmed out. Let's go ahead and grab that identical sprue over here, and we'll just quickly clip the other triarchal men here for the Necron Silent King. Again, thank you everybody for joining me for this Prelude episode for the Silent King build. Basically just starting to clip the sprues. I probably won't get all the sprues clipped in this hour. My main intention is to look at the different parts of the model and plan out really what kind of lighting we're going to do, because this is actually kind of several mini projects if you think about it. The menhirs, will probably just bang those out first. As I was mentioning earlier, going to go ahead and just grind that lightning off the back of those things. Get these little trim pieces out of there. So grind the lightning off the back to open up the cracks. Throw a little hot melt glue in there to conduct the light. A couple LEDs. Maybe a breathing effect will be in order for these. What do you think? Breathing? Much like the chest on the Scorpec Lord, right? Kind of like a glow up and down breathing effect. I think that is going to be the winner on this one, actually. So, pretty excited by that. Yep. See how this goes. Okay, so let's see here. I guess we just have a couple more pieces. Sorry. There we go. Clip that off. And okay, so now we've got both menhirs and their little trim pieces. Set that off to the sides, kind of at the edge here so you can see it. So pretty sure that's what I'm going to build first, right? In the intervening week between now and next Wednesday's session, I will go ahead and do that Dremel work. Like I said, I'll probably just show you a quick video of it so that we can see what it took me to do that. But I'll speed it up and we'll cut the sound so we don't have to. But other than that, these are going to go super quick. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot to these, so that's easy enough. Now, the actual rest of the Silent King. Let's set these tools aside for a second. There we go. Good images any. Oh, that's it. So now, trying to get a handle on what I want to make glow on this guy. So, needless to say, we want to do something up here. Probably flashing, flickering lights, maybe a couple colors of flicker going on up here around the actual Satan shard, I guess, that he is using to power his throne. And then it looks like these guys are in front of some control panels. So I'd like to have some glow coming up off of the control panel, kind of shining into their faces. And then I guess we're going to go with, I mean, do we become repetitive if I do the head every time? You saw me do the head of the Scorpec Lord and light his eyes up and all that. So it's not like going to be crazy. Oh, look at that. The whatchamacallit, the Satan shard. What's the camera? You see that? The Satan shard is already. Well, anyways, you'll have to take my word for it. The Satan shard is already like hollowed out eyes and open mouth, so that's almost a guarantee. Here is the actual Silent King. Yeah, so this is where it's tough. almost, I do wish the camera's a little, or it's easier from relative to light. So we're going to bring that camera back down a hair. Fix that angle. Just so we can get a little better view of some of these sprue bits. So there's the Silent King's head. Got some big, dark angely, Necron-y fins coming off of there. And some Necron symbology. Other than that, nothing special. Ooh, he is a solid head. So a little bit. No, that's not him. That solid head is his dude. That's the Silent King. So if we're gonna light his eyes up, we do at least have to hollow out the backside of his skull in there. And I guess that's probably what we want to do. Get to where we're lighting his eyes, his nose, his mouth. Not sure. Let's see here now. Where are those control panels? Let's look at the instructions real quick. See if we can figure something out with that. Okay, so as we're looking here, looks like the central body is this sphere. There it is. So this piece here, along with that, this piece over here. So these two pieces are basically going to form the bulk of the center body. There's a lot of space in there. That's pretty easy. It's also kind of a reactor. So if we just, again, go with this same sort of lighting effect that we're going with on the menhirs, and maybe hollow this piece out, maybe some quartz or something behind it, or just make a big glue lens, which is pretty easy to do, then we can get that glow effect maybe coming out of the side there as well. That seems pretty reasonable. I mean, as I'm looking at this thing, it's kind of like a Treyarch stalker. They keep that Necron-y, consistent look going on. So if we can do anything with these legs, I think that's not worth bothering with. And I guess these are the engines. So it seems like this piece, and then it's going to wrap around a sphere. That sphere is right here. That's these two pieces made into a sphere. Or maybe this piece and this piece, 3 and 4. 4, 3. Wow, really? 3 and 4 are that far apart on the sprue? Anyways. Okay, so we can run a wire through there pretty easily. And then that's going to come back to these cowlings. And it looks like this is the part that goes inward. Just bring that wire through. And then this is the engine. So right in there is the actual engine. Let's see what the back side of that looks like. So that's going to be super easy to hollow out the back of that. So I think there's our first real, I'd say, substantial lighting effect that we're going to put on the Silent King model is his actual thrusters. And you don't see that side of the model in any of the pictures, but here in the instructions, you see that right here? So here in the instructions, we can clearly see that there's actually 3 engines coming out of there. So that seems pretty reasonable. Okay, so for sure we're going to do something with the Satan shard, and with its face being just hollowed out like it is, I think that's going to be pretty easy to accomplish. And then these engines lend themselves to a glow effect, as does maybe the side here. So we get some kind of nice glow going in on the base. Then what else? We've got these towers coming up. They kind of form the main part of his thing, right? So we've got these towers coming up. So there's the insides of those engines. So that's this thing over here, okay? So I'm looking for this piece. Let's see when that gets added. I want to have that glow effect. Oof. So this guy, we're just going to hide a wire coming in. I think it's pretty straightforward. Like here, there we go. Yeah, so we can just run a wire right up into his head and have, I think, a flickering effect. Like for sure, a flickering effect is what needs to happen coming out of his mouth. Okay, so that'll be the face that we light up. We're not going to light up the Silent King's face. So we'll light up the Satan Shard's face. Here is where the dudes are doing their control thing. Let's see where they get assembled in. Right here. So the Silent King himself, I'm more into light. I think maybe I could even put a light in the floor where he's standing and more spotlight him. Might be interesting. Okay, and then he's got his two homeboys with him. And they're just standing there. Yeah, they're literally just standing there. So I thought they were operating some kind of controls, but they're not really. So now I'm picturing like some glow effect coming out of the floor and spotlighting each of these dudes from underneath. Kind of like an eerie kind of face glow just coming up. You know, like in the old days, you'd, a little campfire, you put the flashlight under your chin. It's like, ooh, all that super spooky lighting. I think will go well with this. And then his cape. So I think that's got to be the plan for this guy. So we're definitely going to put the lights in the menhir. The menhirs here. So those will light up. A bunch of cracks. Those will actually be, I think, be the primary effect will be happening of what's going on here. We're going to have some kind of a flicker effect, maybe multiple flicker effects coming out of the mouth. Much like we learned with doing the power claw on the Scorpek Lord, in this, I did the flickering blue and then the flickering red, and the red really doesn't work. But if I had left it with a solid red and a flickering blue, then when the blue goes, it overpowers the red. But when the blue is off, then you would see the red. So I think that's what we're going to do over here in his mouth, is we're actually going to go with a flicker effect and then a non-flicker effect to really light the heck out of his face. We have the glowing menhirs. He'll be glowing. And then I think we're just going to bring 3 spotlights up, not even flickering, not doing anything, just solid spotlights coming up on these guys. Maybe like 2 on the Silent King and 1 kind of coming up on each of his homeboys. There, I'll maybe make it still where it's more of a panel glow, like a red glow and a red glow, but he gets, like that's a green or something shining on him here. And then the last bit, and I don't think it's shown anywhere in the box, so that's that, is that we'll go ahead and put some light effects into the engines, which is what we talked about here through this central body area. So let's go ahead and clip the sprues on at least these first couple steps. We'll get these pieces out here. I don't think I want to clip everything. Yeah, because the steps don't matter quite yet. See how that goes. Oh, some of this lighting's going to be tough. I'm not really sure where I'm going to run everything. This is not the cleanest model to light as far as that goes. I think the menhirs are really where it's going to be. Am I backing off? Am I giving up? Saying, John, are you afraid to light the Silent King? No, I'm not afraid, but will it pay off? I think it'll pay off. Okay. So let's go ahead and clip those first few pieces out here. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. See what I'm doing. And GW clippers. Let's pull this first piece out here. And thank you everyone for stopping in, saying hi, all that good stuff. Do say hi. Say hi. My loyal chat monkey will say hi back to you, hopefully. Otherwise, he doesn't get a peanut later. Okay, what other pieces do I need off here? I guess I need, well, we said 3 and 4. Which, of course, were on the opposite ends of the sprue from each other. There it is. Okay. So we've got those two pieces clipped. And it's going to end up there's something like this. Yeah, I kind of see how that's going. Okay. Okay. Yeah, put the side eyepiece out. This particular piece is a good candidate. Get a light in it. So based on this base size, once again, I think 3 power sources, 3 total types of lights is kind of our limit. Now I can run, I say types of lights, because I can run a bunch of single lights off of one battery if they're not flickering or have no other effects. As far as effects lights, flickers, flashes, and that stuff, they burn a little more energy, and they have to be on their own circuit. So if I want to flash at 1 speed, then everything on that circuit has to flash at that speed. If I want a breathing effect, same thing with the breathing effect. So for each sort of type of effect, I need a separate power source, and everything off that power source needs to be the same. So far, I've been eyeing some of my powered play boards and thinking about how I might combine those with some of the Evans LED products that I've been working with. And I think if I employ one of the powered play little programmable boards, well, not programmable, but just splitter boards, that might create an isolated circuit where I can use a single power source, but then drive multiple LEDs. In that case, I would have to put multiple coin cell batteries in parallel so that they have more total power but doesn't raise the voltage. If I have that correctly, not being an electrical engineer or electrician or any kind of electricity expert, that is the best I got. Okay, so this is parts 8 and 9, which are 11. That's a 13. Well, let's put those pieces over here then. Get these same pieces out. A lot of times when I'm doing a model like this, I do just kind of clip everything and throw it in a pile, and that's part of the challenge, is just figuring out what goes where. But here on the Silent King, man, there's a lot of unique bits, and the fact that 2 complete sprues are duplicated to build the one model might be pretty interesting as well. Okay, I mean, I guess that's smart design on GW's part, right? Okay, so we got these two pieces. Oh, that's not too bad. And then these, I assume, just kind of sit in there. Yep. And special holding them in place. There's a little tab that you get the orientation right. It's a bit of a balanced hand here. Let's see. Get those to sit. Okay. Slide that top piece in. Arf, arf. There we go. Okay, so that's what it's going to be. Oh, actually, so there's some gaps around these eyepieces, whatever you want to call those, going into the center. There's a real opportunity to bring kind of a core glow. Almost. So that maybe that's the story I want to tell with this is the power we're pulling out of the Satan, and then how does that power transform into like the drive systems and stuff. So that's pretty much what it seems like this whole machine is about, is just harvesting those energies from that poor hapless Satan. Just a nice guy, just hanging out, minding his own business. And then some evil Necron lord has to come along and steal his thunder, suck him out of a star. Ooh. That thing went shooting somewhere. Probably should find it now. Don't you hate that? You're clipping sprues and a piece just goes flying off on you. That's it. Build over. Piece missing. Never to be found again. There it is. Okay. One of the tricks, by the way, when you do drop stuff on the ground, and I don't have to do it this time, you can take your cell phone and you turn the light on, and don't shine it at the ground, but you actually put the light of the cell phone right so that it's against the ground. As lower you can get the light, or you just use a flashlight and lay that flashlight on the ground. And when you shine it along the ground, whatever you've dropped will, it's sitting there, right? So it's the carpet, and then you got a little bit that you're not seeing. And now you shine the light from the side, and it highlights it, and it's easy to find. So that's a little trick. When you drop something small on the ground, is just set the flashlight on the ground and find it easily. Okay, so we've got those pieces. I still need pieces 7. What is 7? These are the two identical sprues. So let's see. 7 looks like it should be a unique piece. The numbering on this is like, here's 8. There's 8. There's 8. There's 9. Okay. Not bad. So we'll get 8 while we're here. Awkward cut. And 9. All right. Okay, so we got 8, 9 off of there. And what was that? 7 I'm looking for? No rhyme, no reason. 20. Are there 2 7s? I think there's only one. Not seeing it on this sprue. Let's see if we can find it over here. 29. Those are steps. 12, 10. 15, 24, 17. This sprue is identical. Not going to find anything different there. It's got to be on this one here. Okay, piece number... Oh, there it is right there. Piece 7. You guys probably spotted it immediately, right? You could point it out to my chat monkey. Ooh, yeah, ooh. Yes, you can tell me what's going on from the chat. See? The chat monkey will let me know what's going on. Let me find those bits. So feel free to point them out. Okay. So that piece is obviously just going to sit down here somewhere, sticking off into space. Hold something, do something. Okay, so that seems pretty straightforward. Those are those first pieces. Then, what do we got? Got this little cap piece, 15 and 16. There's 16. Go ahead and get that clipped out of there. These pieces have some potential too. You run a light up in there. Again, have it just come out a little bit through maybe some of these cracks and these spheres. Remember, I got those beads. So if we hollowed it out and put a glow bead in to replace each of those spheres, that could be interesting too. Guys, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know even if you've watched this later. And heck, most of you guys know me. Just message me or whatever. But let me know what you want to see. Like how extreme do you want this build to go? Like, is this a 20-week 1,000 light build? Am I going to finish it at Christmas with my actual Christmas tree Silent King? Or are we going to go for something more subtle? So just let me know what kind of stuff you want to see. And I will see if it can be accommodated. So here is 5 and 6. Let's see. So those ones right there. Wow. Wow, GW. Look how thick that connection is. That might actually be the thickest connection I've seen. Is that? Yeah, it does come off. I was almost there, like, is that a feature of the part? But man, that's substantial. In fact, let's take a look at this. So I think they were having trouble with this mold. Look at here. Look at that. That's all kind of like, see that? Let me get that focus. See that edge? It's like all soft looking. Yeah, and then they have this huge extra sprue piece here. I think they were having trouble in there. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've never seen such a crude connection from GW. I mean, look at the size of that. Right? You see that right there? Hard for focus. There it is. See that? Like a giant piece I just cut off there. Look at the size of that. That is like ridiculous. 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 Okay, so despite that ridiculous connection, let's go ahead and get the other piece off here. Now, obviously, I'm not going to clean the entire sprue off tonight, and I am not going to continue with the trimming next week, per se. Next week, we're going to get right into building. But I think we'll just go straight to building the menhirs. See if we can accomplish something interesting with those. Yeah, wow, man. I am really blown away. It's interesting too. It's like something, oh, something definitely failed. Wait a second. Okay. So they've got these two pieces that were definitely part of the mold, but look at that, they're no longer connected to the part. You see that? So the mold was designed with that, and then they came in and put this big clunker in. That's real interesting. That is real interesting. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, GW, sorry you were having trouble with your mold there. Seem to have gotten it under control, despite leaving us with a big old giant sprue eye there. Mold gate connection, this technically would be the term, something like that. Okay. So these pieces, we're talking about doing an engine light effect, right? So it seems pretty straightforward. Like this, we'll have to bring the light wire through wherever this is. Pretty easy. Into this open cavity. And then, just literally carve the back of this thing off. It'll open up the center in there. Kind of fill in a bead of hot melt glue. Create a little bit of a lens. Kind of cool. I've done a glowing lens effect for a while. Or glowing engine effect, I should say. I have a few of them. I did a what is it? My Dark Angels, whatever, the Talon, the bomber. I did a couple of the bombers where I got the engines lighting and flickering, and then of course helping Paul. You out there, Paul? With his Manta. We actually reprinted the Forge World engines in clear resin so we could put lights in them. Not going to do anything like that in the short term. If this series continues, though, I might actually do one like that. Like, would that be something you guys would be interested in seeing? Have me bust out my scanning system and do like a 3D scan of a part, go through the whole process of digitizing a component and uploading it. I don't know. Maybe that would be a whole separate series. I don't think that would be part of Hobby Night. This is kind of staying with model building stuff. Okay, so I think 15 here is the last one I need to get. And that's back on the unique sprue. On the twin sprue and the unique sprue, right? Let's see. This kind of base looking piece. Mm-hmm. 91, 56, 57? No, that's not it. 93. In this area, 88, 49, 50. It can't be here. It's a unique piece. We know it's not on one of these. 29, 24, no. 47. So it's got to be here. Why am I not seeing that piece? 94. Okay, so let's kind of do it the scanning. Three, 51. 51 is not 15. I didn't already trim it. Oh, I did. No, I didn't. Did I? Gosh, guys. Oh, it's been a long week already. I tell you what. For obvious and unobvious reasons, right? know it's got to be. Okay, so it's 22, 31. I'm ready to give up. Where is that piece? 15. It's this unique little girdle kind of a thing. Not that. It's not that. Can't be too small. Here's its mating piece. All right, so we already clipped that off. There it is. Is that it? Well, that is interesting if that's it. That is 15. Interesting. They only use one of these? I guess there must be another one in use somewhere else. I thought it was a unique piece, but it was here on the twin sprue. So I already see the issue with the Silent King. This, though they have definitely been efficient with their sprues, the fact that the numbers jump all over, not cool. Okay. 2. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so but now we do have them. So we have 5 and 6 right there. And I've managed to find 2 15s, but only 1 16. Over here. There it is. There's where another 15 gets used. Okay, that's acceptable. Pull that off to the side. Only one leg pulled so far. Now this is the center engine, and it has its own little cowling. So first off, this is the other sphere that we trimmed earlier by accident. Somewhere in my have a growing pile of bits right over there, over yonder, as it were. That was a mistake. There we go. Okay. So we got this big half sphere here. Oh yeah, look at that. Boom. Boom. Yeah. Bang it out. Okay. And we're going to get up in this zone right here. Need parts 19 and 20. There's 21 here. That's interesting. 41. Piece has no number next to it. You can see where the number was supposed to be, and they didn't put the number. Wow, GW. Wow. Sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. Anyways, here's the pieces we want, 19 and 20. Yeah, it's got to make you wonder. I mean, GW usually has really high quality. And we all know there are some issues with the 40K app. And while this is definitely a nice kit, it definitely was having some manufacturing issues. Probably because they tried to go too dense on these sprues. I mean, let's be realistic. This is a dense, dense sprue with some big pieces and small pieces. They probably should have split this into a few different sprues. You know, some different half sprues. It would have made production costs higher. Already a pretty expensive model, but yeah. Okay, well, I mean, it's not like there's anything wrong with the model, though. Like, my cast, the mold is all seems nice. I mean, even these edges here, those aren't miscasts. Those are just the stonework, but just these large gates, sprue eyes, as I like to call them. I need a little bit extra cleanup with that one. And of course, it's the, as you guys have seen me do before, we'll just be coming back through here with first the dull knife. You just take that dull knife and shave those right off. Blend them in. Over here, the dull knife. Right, and that's what I do. So I got my thin, this is actually the thin X-Acto, and I just happen to like this handle. You can tell I've had it forever and a day. A lot of milliput work. That's what all this white stuff on there is. That's just milliput from doing the bases on all my Skaven. But anyway, so I keep the thin blade in there. You can see the tip is broken off, so I don't stab myself with it, and it is super, super dull. Even when it was brand new, the first thing I did was take a little bit of an emery board to it and just dull that down. A piece of stone is good for that. I think I've shown you my little granite surface plate that I keep around here, over yonder on my my bar, as it were. Let's see here. Your perspective bar is right over here. So use a little Starrett granite, pink granite, Starrett, North Carolina. Use that to dress down the razor a little bit, like that. Now this can also be used to sharpen up an edge if you want to as well. So I got that tool for deburring. That's my dull knife. Then when I need to get into some cutting, I have my thicker blade that I try to keep sharp. And this one is actually at its life's end. I mean, it is razor sharp. You could easily slice yourself, but the tip is broken on it. So it's not as good for, drilling. You saw me using this spot for the drills. And it's not as sharp as I would like for the sharp blade work. And then, of course, we still have our cutting blade, which is a little bit different angle. So if you look at that, it's still a thick X-Acto. And I forget the size names. They're actually different names of these sizes. But see, these are both thick X-Acto blades. Actual X-Acto blade. Knockoff X-Acto blade. And I don't know what this is. M, so it's probably some other crafty brand. So those are the three blades that I'm typically going to use. I also have this that I use sometimes for, I mostly am going to use this on resin, to be honest with you. But if I do have like a really thick ridge to pull off of something, then this is what you call a file blank. So you can see it's like a 3-sided file, but it actually hasn't had any of the teeth ground into it. And then it's been slightly sharpened so that these are some pretty nice edges for cutting with. So those are going to be my primary, sort of cleanup tools. In the past, I've also pulled out my Cerabit. This one I'm usually only going to use in very select situations. It's actually really effective. I just don't use it very much. But it is actually pretty nice. I think it would be good when you're doing a lot of large terrain. You're going to clean something like this up. You got these big, long mold lines. It's nice. When you're doing like a vehicle, like an airplane or something with a lot of curves on it, this blade is really nice for getting into some of those curved surfaces. So Sarah blade just really just knocks those mold lines right off. Look at that. It's nothing. Boom. No effort. Just drag that along there. See that? Boom. Gone. Now, where this thing isn't as good is when you get to your sprue eyes. It can do them. Really got to push. And that's not the cleanest removal there either, right? So that's just a little bit of what's going to go on. So I'm not going to do all of that on screen this week or next week. So between now and next week, right? Basically, I'm going to clip the rest of this sprue here. So I'll probably clip it into little subgroups. Maybe I'll toss them into cups. I got some little cups over here that I use sometimes for either mixing paint or for tossing bits in during a build. And then I am going to take the men here, just switch it back to my place here. And we'll go ahead and start on the menhirs. And as I was talking about earlier, I'm going to open these things up. Really? There we go. And literally just go into the inside with my Dremel tool and open those up so we can see all the cracks when we throw the lights on. So the first part of this project is going to be these menhirs. In the intervening week, that's when I'm going to do the grinding on the back. I'll make a little video. I'll show it next week so you guys can see what that's all about. But don't have to sit around because that's going to be on its own. That's like an hour and a half or 2 hours of me carefully removing those lightning bolts to open them up without thinning up any other areas or causing any other damage, and hopefully without nothing falling apart. So that's the main part of what I'll be doing in the intervening time. Then next week, we're going to go ahead and build and light the menhirs. And I'm pretty sure that even with showing a little video of me hollowing out the back, that I can get these things complete. So I'm going to kind of pre-stage a few things. I might pre-drill the base. I'll show you where I drill the base. I'll have the lighting ready. We'll have it all ready to go. And I'm just going to slap this thing together. So we're going to try to get both menhirs built next week. And then after that, that way we'll dive right into the Silent King. Once again, I don't know how long this build is going to take. I'm hoping that we're going to be done in like 6 episodes total. So, you know, kind of carry us through November and into early December at the most. And then we'll see what kind of project we have there. You know, the main thing is, you know, we don't even know what GW is going to release yet. So I want to kind of leave my options open. And with that, there's the magic timer. We are at the end of our hobby hour. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining me this week. Once again, this has been John Feuerhelm with In Your Phase Media, our hobby hour.